Happy April, Connect family. Thanks for pulling up with us on your Saturday.
Coming on the show, and we'll be spotlighting incredible women and amazing women. So what do we have for today, Natalie?
Yeah, it's going to be a really good show. I'm excited. We're getting into several things. First off, if you're at home, you're watching, and if you have ever considered launching your own podcast, the time is now. And I'm excited for our guest today. They're the founders of Courageous Wellness Podcast, showing us how they are using nutrition.
Very nice. We are also, Natalie, talking real estate for first-time home buyers, and we have some great tips with Susie Reed. So you don't want to miss that.
But first, today we are getting into the money, and specifically today we are sharing statistics around the economic power of Latinos and money. And this is going to be good. It's this next guest from NASDAQ to CNBC Insider Business. She has really been covering Latinas and money on a national scale for years. And today, yes, she's right here with us on the Connect Network TV on the CW Austin. Hey, Lyanne, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for welcoming me to the show. It's so good to be here.
Let's start with, I think so many minorities overlook their economic power. Can you share with us the stats of Latinos and money?
Absolutely. And I think the big thing to drive home here is the Latinos are a minority no more. As of 2020, we had the Pew Research Center showing us that we actually make 20% of the population and made the second biggest racial group to grow right after our white counterparts. So we are actually becoming the majority in some states and definitely on our way to making a huge representation. Something else to note is that you take our GDP, how much money we make all together, all Latinos in the United States, we make the 5th largest GDP in the world. That's when you compare it to all other countries around the world, which is an incredible feat, $2.8 trillion that we bring to the US economy.
Wow. And that's big news. And I think, it's so important to track this information so you can really recognize that power. And you're really showing us that. You also believe that one of the best ways you say to really grab a hold of that power is by integrating representation into existing boardrooms, business news. Tell us more about what you mean by that and why that's so important to you.
Absolutely. I mean, we hear this all the time, right? And we certainly heard this during Women's History Month. You can't be what you can't see. And so I think that this is certainly true when it comes to representation. Not only is it inspiring and empowering when you see people who come of similar backgrounds on national media, I think that there's something to be said that besides our ethnic backgrounds, we actually make great contributions to the American economy when our boardrooms, when our leadership is more diverse. It comes to show that the more diverse you are, not just Latinos, but just diversity of thought, of background, gender representation, the more blind spots that you're really catching in these boardrooms in some of the most powerful companies of the world. So absolutely, it is essential to have representation in news so other people can see it, but so other people can learn how to move from you, and so that we can share those resources, share those tools in order to fundraise, scale our companies, and succeed.
That is phenomenal, Lyanne. And on your podcast, Moneda Moves, I love that you use moneda. That's a great word. You highlight.
Hang on a second. For those that don't know what moneda means,
I've got you. Moneda is like a coin. It's a coin in Spanish. So when people say like, do you have tengo moneda o una monedita? It's like we speak in littles. We say we have a few coins. We have a few coins in our pocket to go get that popsicle down the block, to go get the groceries. So it's very commonplace. Just what I used growing up to talk about money.
Love it.
I love it very much.
Before you go, last question about the podcast. I know you say media matters. How can people that are like, okay, I still don't have my narrative, because that's another thing about going into this space of either looking for employment, or even as an entrepreneur, because I know you think like a CEO. How do you get your story across for those that are looking to stand in their story and use that space and power in their business?
Absolutely. So I think you want to start with your why. This is true, and it sounds so simple, but this is true of even the most powerful companies. We'd have companies that were multi-million-dollar valuation companies. And really what they wanted to drive home on the day that they went public was, what is my story? What is my mission, vision, and what are my values? And they all are in an ecosystem that speak to each other. So you want to be able in your mission to address exactly what you want to do, what change you want to affect, who you want to do it for, your vision, AKA in a few years, what kind of impact is your company going to make? Who are going to be your partners? This is the kind of research that you do when you're doing market research, right? Like who's your audience? Who are you going to impact? What scale? And your values, because that will determine your growth trajectory.
Wow, great tips. Thank you so much for really all of this today.
Thank you.
Yes,
It's been a great
so much
combo.
great information, Lyanne. And before we go, how can people connect with you? How can they get in contact with you, follow you, and work with you?
Absolutely. So I do offer consultation services. I've worked with C-level execs that are looking to go fundraise, looking to communicate their stories via their pitch decks as they go fundraise. You can find me at Moneda Moves, same social handle across social networks, Instagram, Twitter, and I'm also at Lyanne Alfaro, quite active on LinkedIn as well if you want to reach me there.
Yes, LinkedIn, the place to not forget about, right? LinkedIn. I have so many more questions for you. This was fantastic, the information. Before you go real quick, what is your best money tip for Latinos and all minorities right now? Maybe it's the same for all people. Who knows?
Yeah. You know, like I think personal finance is so personal. So when I get this question, it's really about identifying your goal right now. But if I could do a catch-all, it's probably knowing where your money sits exactly. Where's the money going in? Where's the money going out?
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Texas. Well, coming up next, a lot of great things in store. We are talking gut health, and spring has sprung. We're excited for this. It's time to get rid of the bloat after the break. But first, Alexandra Randolph is here with a new segment, Latina Business of the Week.